What's happening, folks? It's Hank Perrone. I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter tonight. We're not going to get to all of the sovereignty stuff for a little bit. Probably a couple more episodes away, realistically, but wanted to talk to you tonight about the government of for and by the people, because that's how we're supposed to be ruled. Do you feel like the government represents you? Because I sure as shit don't. Like what values that the government has represent you? It's supposed to be by and for you, right? So, I mean, I don't know anything that the government does that really represents me well. I mean, they have a bunch of tyrannical agencies that invade your privacy. They tax the shit out of you for a lot more than the 14% tax, the 14% indirect tax that we fought the Revolutionary War for. It's out of hand, it's out of control. And I think it's coming to a head, though, really. It looks like there's another round of mask mandates coming, vaccine mandates. Hopefully everybody's awake enough to realize that you don't have to do that shit. You can and absolutely have the right to tell the government to fuck off and don't tread on me. It's time to reach down and take the chains off, like, for Christ's sakes. Like, it's getting ridiculous. For a flu, like, if you don't understand what they're trying to do, you're probably never going to get it. But think about the fact, all right, so they're trying to force vaccinate you with an emergency use authorization vaccine, right? That's free of charge to you, right? Because they really care about you. That's why the price of insulin is through the roof now. They don't go around giving cancer treatments for free or AIDS treatments for free or all these other plagues on society. But they really want to do this for you because it's good for you. So when you watch the news, if you think about it in respect to the sheep and the shepherd analogy, like which way are they trying to herd the sheep, then it's a little bit easier to pick up what's going on, what they're really trying to tell you, what they really want you to do. We're starting to see some three-letter agencies come apart, like the FBI. Let's see. JustTheNews.com, FBI sexcapades, bureau rocked by illicit off-it romances and workplace harassment. And he goes through a bunch of examples that have compromised the bureau. And then the New York Post, the FBI is made of snitches, often trapping Americans into committing crimes. And we know that the FBI had a lot to do with the Capitol invasion on the 6th. They also are involved in the Whitmer kidnapping. Now it's coming out that like 14 of the people that were involved in that were FBI agents, 14 of the 16 people. So is that the government of for and by the people? I don't think so. Where they're taking you, their bosses, and entrapping you while they have workplace orgies. No. It's not of for and by anybody except, the shitbags at the top. And that's the problem with the communism and socialism. And as you know, we're already in a communist society because the state owns all the property and you don't own shit or really have any constitutional rights because you're considered United States property, United States citizens. So, that the guys at the top don't follow, it's do as I say, not as I do. They're like, yes, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to pay this, you need to follow these rules while they're off, just like the CIA under Obama, coke and hookers and everything else in South America. That's what happens when you give, that's why none of these federal agencies are in the Constitution, because there's no way that we're not even supposed to have a standing army for a period of longer than 2 years when there's no war. The Navy is the only branch of the service provided for, and the militia, the unorganized militia, which would be every man from 18 to 45 in most states. Some states leg it out a little bit longer to 60 or 65, but I think Arizona legs it out a little bit longer. But like in California here, it's 18 to 45. But other than that, there's no military branches provided. Most certainly no federal police forces. And there was a reason for that, because the founders knew the tyranny that followed from stuff like that, especially when you have all the authority in the world, different ways to trap and spy on people through their cell phones, warrantless wiretaps. But no one throws a fit about it. Like, it's time to take the chains off. It's time to stand up. If we do another round, like, can your businesses survive another round of shutdowns and mask mandates? If you haven't been vaccinated, do you really, as hard as they're pushing it, do you really still think it's a good idea now? You gotta wake up. It's not the stuff that's going on now. If we allow it to continue, we don't have much time left. We might not have enough time left as it is. But that's a whole different story. I don't know if anybody saw Rand Paul grilling Fauci on gain-of-function research in front of Congress. But Fauci was panicking. There's one camera angle that showed him shaking. What a little rat. I've never seen a human being that looks more like a rat, actually. I don't know if they do it on purpose or what, but that dude is an interesting character. And they were most definitely funding gain-of-function research. Rand Paul was pretty good on opening up the definitions. Fauci was panicking. They had somebody that he was quoting that said, so-and-so said that's not the definition, but it was, it's pretty much the exact definition of gain-of-function research. They were testing animal viruses to see what they would do to humans. And I can see why he'd panic, because, that's super treason, if all this crap stemmed from American taxpayer money getting funded in the Wuhan lab and then being intentionally released, even if it was unintentional, but especially if it was intentionally released. Because it's treason and insurrection and everything else. Even without the National Defense Authorization Act and all the tyrannical powers it invokes, I think he would still be tribunaled for that instead of a regular trial. So I looked up procedure for military executions, and interestingly enough, there's only 3 ways that they can execute you in a military tribunal. This is from the Army Regulations 633-15, page 7. So you can be electrocuted, you can be hung, or you can be shot. Assuming that they're not going to have electric chairs everywhere anymore, you're probably going to be shot or hung. As I was going through the document, I found a very interesting on page 7. So it would be 633-15, section 3, subsection 13, lowercase I. And I'll attach the link to the document in the description below. And I looked it up, and old Fauci, they think he weighs about 145 pounds. And this, there's a drop chart for normal men of given weights. Variation of the drop because of physical condition may be necessary. But it's to determine the proper amount of drop of the prisoner through the trapdoor. So we go down to 145 pounds. Old Fauci would need to fall about 6 feet 9 inches through the trapdoor. I'm sure his little rat neck would break long before that, but, I guess we'll have to wait and see. And I want to leave you tonight with a quote by Sam Adams. If you love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom. Go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen. That says it all, folks. So think about that before you put a mask on to walk in a building, before you let them illegally jab you with something that's not even authorized from the FDA. Take your chains off and stand up. Make the government represent you. We gotta take it back, because it's not happening on its own. We can't wait for someone else to do it. And the first way you can do anything about it is by standing up and saying, no, we're not going to do this bullshit anymore. We're tired of it. We're not screwing around. Oh, by the way, you're out. God bless you, folks, and good night. Say good night, Fauci.